I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm kind of addicted to playing Road Rash, the motorcycle racing game for Game Boy. I only recently bought a copy of this game for one single reason. Not because I thought it was a good game, but because my brother had it for his Sega Game Gear back when we were kids, and it was one of our favorite games on that console. So I decided to pick up a copy for Game Boy for the nostalgia. At first glance, Road Rash for the original Game Boy, it doesn't really look like anything too special. The frame rate is a little low. The driving effects, while impressive, are a little glitchy looking. So why do I enjoy this game so much? Well, there's a fundamental problem with many retro racing games that I've played, and that is there's not enough in them to hold my interest. So you start a race, you guide the car left and right as the road turns, and you try to pass the other racers. And that's about it. If you make a single mistake, it's often not even worth your time to continue the race, and it'd be better to just start over again. So what makes Road Rash different? There is so much going on at any given point in the race. The game is constantly throwing the next challenge at the player. So of course it has the basics. You turn left and you turn right while trying to stay inside the lines of the road. There are roadside obstacles. If you drift off to the edge of the road, you'll crash and lose precious time. And there's other racers that you're trying to beat. But in addition to that, let's see, there are hills. If you're going too fast, you'll be launched into the air. And when you're in the air, you can't steer, which means if there are any cars on the other side, or even a sharp turn in the road, you could end up crashing. There's oncoming traffic to dodge. Since this is a street racing, there's just people out driving, and you could end up in a head-on collision. There's also people out driving that are going the same direction as you, and you need to dodge those cars too as you speed past them. There are intersections where cars will be pulling through, and if you're not careful, you could collide with the side of a car. Let's see, there's a police officer who's out trying to catch anyone he can. If you fall off your bike in his vicinity, or are even just going slow enough for him to be able to pull you over, then the race will end and you'll be given a fine for speeding. You'll hear his siren before he appears on screen, and even though I don't usually get caught, just hearing the siren puts me on alert, so that's exciting. Some stages even have cows just hanging out in the middle of the street. And if you do collide with any of these obstacles, the game will put you back into the center of the road so you can try again. Just kidding. Actually, you're sent flying off your bike and onto the pavement, and when you finally stop rolling around, you have to run back to your bike, pick it up, get back on, and try to catch up to everyone else. Now, does this all sound like a lot? Because there's more. It's not just you that can fall off your bike. The other racers can, and will, which means now you're dodging motorcycles just laying in the street and people running around trying to get back onto them. Let's see, I haven't even talked about what I consider the most famous aspect of this game series yet. You have an attack button. In the Game Boy version, you can punch your opponents, and your opponents actually have health bars, and you also have a health bar, and if you lower their health enough, they will get knocked off their bike, which will, put you further ahead. And there's this one guy in each race with a freaking pipe, and if you time it right, you can steal it from him and start beating the other racers with it. And all these things by themselves are a lot to deal with, all these obstacles, but then they start coming at you at the same time. So for example, I'm in the left lane trying to pass a car when suddenly I see another car in oncoming traffic, so I veer off the side of the road, narrowly dodging a tree. Or let's say I'm trying to punch another racer off his motorcycle, but then suddenly I'm about to hit another car in an intersection, so I dodge out of the way just in time, but the two racers in front of me didn't, so now I'm swerving around their motorcycles that fell on the ground and dodging the racers as they're running around trying to get back to their motorcycles. Holy crap. So yeah, what I was saying about keeping the player engaged, I estimate the player is presented with a new obstacle every 5 to 20 seconds. There's too many racing games where, you get into the lead and you just kind of drive until you finish. Whoa, not in Road Rash. There's no time to rest. Let's see. Next, the gameplay loop. It offers more to the player than just win. There are 5 courses to race on, and after you get a high enough rank in all 5 of them, you move up to the next level, where you'll race the same 5 tracks again, but this time with faster opponents. One thing I really like is that there's a secondary goal, which is to save up money for faster motorcycles. Every time you complete a race, you earn some money. Of course, first place gets the most money, but even just finishing will get you some profit. So even if you don't win a race never feels like a waste of time. So I love this. As for the music, this is one of the few retro racing games with a soundtrack, and not just the constant drone of an engine and the squeal of tires. Also, it's hard to put into words, but the soundtrack has this unique vibe to it. It's rock, but also kind of somber. It's high energy, but also relaxing. It feels lonely, but also like I'm out with my buddies. I don't know, the music works great in this game. And then there's the world building. At the start of every stage, you'll be greeted by either one of your opponents or the police officer, who will either give you advice or a warning, or even just say something funny. And when you race, you will see the names of those people as you pass them. So I'm not just racing against car number 1 and car number 2. Like, I legitimately care for these racers. When I'm about to pass Natasha or Slater, I leave them alone because I just like them so much. I think they're cool. I hate Gunther though. He can go run into a bumper for all I care. And then, when a race ends, you all go hang out at the bar or the lake. You're all like frenemies. It's nice. Let's see, what else? The game has a password system so you can pick up where you left off. The clouds have this cool parallax scrolling effect. Oh, FYI, due to the way it was programmed, this is one of the only original Game Boy games that will not work on a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Advance. It's not you, it's not the cartridge. It just doesn't work on the newer Game Boy consoles. It just crashes when you try to start a race. Yeah, so is Road Rash for Game Boy a good game? Probably not. I think I'd give it a rating of, like, okay. But my goodness, it has turned into one of my favorite guilty pleasures, and when given a choice of games to play, I've been coming back to this one again and again.